and I get a phone call from our agent, and he's like, "Hey, you got an opportunity with New York again. They need a guy in AAA right now." And I ended up parlaying that 2 months later into getting called up to the big leagues.
Yeah. Welcome back, podcast fans. This is Todd Durkin with the Todd Durkin Impact Show, and I hope your day is off to a super fantastic start. I am feeling fired up today. As a matter of fact, you are in for a treat today, as I have 3 of my professional baseball players, all pitchers, in the house today. I'm at Fitness Quest 10 in my office, and we're going to have Stephen Gonsalves, Brady Aiken, and Daniel Camarena in the house. And guys, check this out. Brady Aiken was a former first-round overall pick. He's now with the Cleveland Indians. Stephen Gonsalves was a 4th-round pick with the Twins. He's now with the New York Mets now. And Camarena is a 9-year professional baseball veteran. And in today's episode, you're not only going to hear about their favorite parts of training. One of the things with baseball, as we are just weeks away from spring training, believe it or not, is the grind it takes. We talk about get your mind right, get your mind right. Baseball's a game of failure. And when you face adversity, when you face setback, what do you do to get your mind right? These 3 young men who have had extraordinary careers thus far, and despite being young men, impart some awesome wisdom today that you're going to really be able to glean. So I want you to listen in. And whether you're a fitness enthusiast, weekend warrior, you're a trainer, you're a coach, you're a young athlete, you're going to get a lot out of today's episode. So tune in and take some copious notes. And if you're working out, warning, you may pick up your pace to an intense level. So get ready. Let's go to the interview now with Brady Aiken, Stephen Gonsalves, and Daniel Camarena. All right, we're back with another episode of the Impact Show. And today we are honored to have three young men who have huge aspirations. And you guys are in for a treat today because we have Brady Aiken, Stephen Gonsalves, and Daniel Camarena in the house. What's up, fellas?
Not much, man.
We just got done training. You guys feeling good?
Feel good. A little tired.
Little tired, yeah. Well, they're getting ready for spring training, and we're just days away from spring training. And so our awesome listeners today know who the heck you are. Why don't we go down the line? I'm going to start with you, Daniel. A little quick background on what they're going to know about Daniel Camarena in the house today.
All right. My name's Daniel Camarena. I'm from Bonita, California, down in Chula Vista. I went to Cathedral Catholic High School along with these 2. We were actually fortunate to be at the school around the same time. So really,
You were a year older?
I was 2 older than Stephen and
3 older than me.
Brady.
Okay.
And got drafted after my senior year, 2011, 20th round to the New York Yankees. Spent
2011.
Yeah, 2011.
Man, you're old.
Yes, sir. Compared to these 2, yeah. And yeah, finally got called up to the big leagues this year.
Congratulations. With the Yankees.
With the Yankees.
8 years with the Yankees?
8 years.
So
on and off.
So 8 years in the minor leagues, too.
Yes.
So people don't see that.
No, they don't.
We're going to talk about that, what it's like life in the minors. Very glamorous, isn't it?
Extremely glamorous.
All right. Gonzo, Stephen Gonsalves.
Yeah, went to Cathedral with Camarena. He was 2 years older than me. We call him, he's Big Papa over there.
Big Papa.
Freshman, I was there about 2 weeks in. I already saw him on the baseball field, so I hopped in, and, he welcomed me with warm arms with the rest of the guys, and got to hang out with him. He led me around Cathedral for 2 years, and I took over and then had to do the same thing with Brady. We all played Team USA baseball while we were there in high school. We all went to the All-American game down at Petco Park. We had a good tradition, all 3 of us being lefties. He started out the lessons, and we just kind of
slow. So casual. Team, World Baseball, Team America, you had an illustrious high school career. Got drafted what round?
In the 4th round to the Minnesota Twins in 13.
And you're with who now?
Now I'm with the New York Mets. Yeah, just got claimed by them. I had 6 years with the Twins. Got my big league debut in 18 in August. I was up there for a month and a half, and then unfortunately was hurt all last year.
And you got to talk about that when you made that debut today, about what a crazy day that was, your debut. Because I remember watching it on TV as you were sitting in the bullpen on a rain delay.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking. You think you're fine, and then all 30 of my family members show up in Minnesota. We all had a big breakfast, and I remember I had maybe one bite of steak, couldn't eat. It gets a little gut-wrenching, and then once you get to the clubhouse, you kind of calm down, because you're with your boys, and it's back to baseball.
Love it. Brady Aiken, tell us about yourself.
So following in these guys' shoes, went to Cathedral as well. I graduated in 14, and then when I got there my first year, these two guys were kind of like bigger brothers than me. And then Daniel graduated, and so I was just kind of Stephen and I, and then couple other guys that work out here too, like Sean and Drew were there for a little bit as well. So we have a really tight-knit community. Had one at Cathedral, and then kind of lucky enough that we still get to train together, which is awesome. But I've had a very interesting career so far. I got drafted in 2014, and then ended up not signing. Went down to IMG.
First overall, correct?
Correct. And then went down to...
Don't
just slide that under the table.
First overall. He didn't just get drafted. So you're listening in. BA, Brady Aiken here, got drafted first overall. And then what'd you
Correct.
say?
So then I went down to IMG for a little bit, did some training. Was down there for like 2 months and ended up getting hurt. Had to get surgery, and then I got drafted again by the Cleveland Indians in 2015. And I've been with them ever since. And it's been...
14th overall, though. You're still a first round.
Okay.
So
anyway.
Don't let them slide stuff on you.
Anyway, but no, I've had a very interesting career. I've had a lot of struggles. Had some time where I came back from injury and I felt really good, felt really solid, and then kind of had an off season. Back home, my first one back home because I was gone for so long and was doing some training stuff. Came back into spring training the following year. I just didn't really feel like myself, and then kind of things started to change a little bit, and yeah, man, it's been like an uphill battle ever since then, but I'll tell you what, every offseason has been so much fun to be back here and train with these guys, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I want to talk about that because, you all have been in professional baseball now for several years. Going into this year as the 2020 season soon approaches, what's your mindset going into this spring training? I'll start with you, Brady.
For me, I think it's just to be consistent. I've had, like I said, I've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and I think the most important thing for me is to be consistent with it. And when I was very successful, I was having fun, like just going out there, and it was like a game. And over the last few years, I've put a ton of pressure on myself and haven't succeeded. And so I think this year, the most important thing for me going into the season is just to be consistent and have fun with it. Because at the end of the day, it is a game, and you're out there with a bunch of your good friends and really just having a good time and trying to compete and do the best.
I think that's one of the unique things about baseball is such a mental game, right? You have to physically be healthy, and you've got to be able to play, but it's so mental because it's a grind. And if you start overthinking and you get too mechanical in your mindset, then you can't play at your top ability. So I know we've talked about that quite a bit this offseason about loosening up and playing and remembering who you are and that. And I think that's applicable for anyone, is just, making sure you enjoy again like you were when you were a kid. Because when you're a kid, you want to be a pro. And then when you're a pro, you forget how to be a kid, and you lose that play element, which helps make you successful. When you guys were playing your best, whether it be Cathedral, in professional baseball, whatever, it's when you're in that play aspect and you forget actually what you're doing on that. So good point, Brady. Gonzo, how about you? Mindset going into this season here, new opportunity, New York Mets going out to the Big Apple. What's your mindset?
Yeah, it's just like Brady said, you got to keep it simple. It's just baseball, kids' game. Last year I was hurt all year. It was my first year of injury. So it's just a matter of flushing it, knowing I'm healthy this year, and, going out and attacking. And I'm going to have a fresh opportunity with a new team. No one knows me over there. But, that's when you got to take people by surprise and, just come out of nowhere.
What are you most excited about?
Oh, man, I've never been to New York. It's a little bigger city than San Diego and Minnesota, so it'll be definitely.
Listen, I'm going to have all my Jerseyite fans over there, and you're going to hear them, and they're going to be giving you cat calls, and you're going to hear like "Get your mind right" all over the place. So if you're listening right now from New York, New Jersey, the tri-state area, y'all better get to those Mets games and cheer Gonzo on. Do you know what number you're gonna be wearing yet or not yet?
I'm 59, so
59.
I kept the same number, but
y'all better be cheering him on. I better hear reports about like a bunch of mind right maniacs out in center field. Don't go behind home plate and do anything crazy now, but you're gonna see Gonzo getting after it in New York. Daniel, how about you? Mindset going into the season?
Oh man, my mindset, it's gonna be just be the best version of Daniel Camarena. You know, every day in, from spring training, from the start to the end. Hopefully winning a championship somewhere. And I think that's everybody's goal is to be the last one standing.
Yeah.
But to do that, I feel like you got to be the best version of you every day, every night. Do all the little things right. So that's it. Look at myself in the mirror every morning and saying, what's the best version of Daniel doing right now? And making sure I'm staying up to par with that.
Do you think that's one of the best things you've done in your career now, 9 years in professional baseball, is that the habits that you've created, you're a man of routine, you're disciplining your habits, your nutrition, your training, all the habits off the field. You think that's one of your advantages?
Absolutely. I feel like every offseason I come home and I try and think about like what can I do better, or how can I up my game, whether it's the nutrition, the training, the sleep, the just the baseball training in general. Are you doing enough?
Yeah.
And I'm just constantly bombarding myself with those questions. I'm really hard on myself, and I don't like to let myself rest. I know there's a lot of young cats out there that were in my shoes in high school that were super hungry, the same way we were super hungry to get to where we wanted to be. And I know there's a lot of people out there that would do anything to be in our cleats and our shoes. I have a lot of friends who, they're done playing, and I realize that it's a blessing to do what we do, every day. So I don't take it for granted. I work my booty off every day in here. I'm sweating, and I'm just trying to be the best version of me.
Let's talk about that, because I think when it comes down to preparation, training is a huge aspect of that. I remember, you guys remember Chris Young. Chris Young was a pitcher in Major League Baseball for a long time. He's now at front office of MLB. And CY talking about how baseball is a game of failure. And if you can be successful 3 out of 10 times, you're like a Hall of Famer, right, on that stuff. Obviously, when it comes to training and preparation, as all 3 of these guys are pitchers on that, what are the favorite parts of your training? Daniel, I'll start with you. Your favorite parts of training, what do you most enjoy about training and preparation?
I mean, I would say that feeling that you get when you leave the gym here, you really put in that work, and then you just know that, like, man, like, I made some gains today, I really, or I went up in weight, or, like, hey, I wanted to get to, like, 400 pounds today, and you got it, or on the curve, we all strive to get 19, like, on there, and, when you've been hitting 18.6, 18.6, 18.6, and you give it that one little extra push, and boom, 19 finally pops up on that screen. That's my favorite part.
What is it about that? As a pitcher, why do you want to hit 19? Why is that important?
Just want to keep moving up to the next level. You want to keep going up, keep grinding, and whether it's, hey, you win 1 game in a row, well, now you want to win 2, or you just constantly want to keep pushing.
Daniel, what about your favorite exercise? What do you love doing out of all the exercises that we do? And there's dozens that we would do. Right now we're training, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. These guys are throwing, 3 days a week, most of you at least.
Probably more than that now,
Yeah, you're amping it up. You're on the hill twice. But what's your favorite? If you had to pick like 1 or 2 of like, man, I've got to get this in to make sure I feel the best I can be.
I got to get in the squat
rack.
I
knew you were going to say squats. I knew it.
I love the squat rack.
I knew you were going to say squats.
I always feel confident in there. I've got, thanks to my mom and dad, man, I got some big legs. So thank you. Shout out to them. And,
yep.
And some med ball tosses. I love chucking that thing around.
Yeah.
Those two are.
We do a lot of complex training. Daniel will go, heavy with the squats, and we'll unload that weight and then go into a ballistic, more plyometric movement with squat jumps. Great for power development, explosive development as well. So, all right, we got squats. Let's go with Gonzo. Stephen Gonsalves, about you. Your favorite thing about training and preparation, what is it?
I think it's just being able to be with all these guys, all these top of the line guys. Like we said, we were all USA, all Americans. We're not surrounded by that many guys like that. In the off season, a lot of guys just work out by themselves at a 24-hour fitness. We're blessed to have so many good guys here in San Diego, and we all come to the same gym because of you. And we're blessed that we can just compete with each other day in and day out.
I think a great example of that happened the other day. So as you're listening in, Stephen just recently got married. So congratulations. Got back from his honeymoon, and he was a little tired from that long plane ride. And he had to get the sleepies out of his eyes. And I remember I put you with Max. And all of a sudden, you got the sleepies out of your eyes real quick. And we talk about iron sharpens iron all the time. You guys are with, you're with Brady and Daniel all the time. You guys are always grinding. But there's another group of 3 or 4 guys that are consistently training. What happened? Why all of a sudden you switched? Next thing you know, you had one of your better workouts.
Yeah, I think it's just because Max is a top-of-the-line guy with the Twins, and the Twins this year just said, you know what, you've been with us, but we don't really care about you anymore, and we're just gonna let you go. And to me, that just kind of looked like, all right, I'm not valuable in any way, and here's a guy I'm training with that, just got a big contract with them, big extension, and he was always a couple levels older than me, going through the ranks, but we knew who each other were. We were top prospects in the group. So it's always,
who is Max? So those that are listening in might know who Max is.
So Kepler's he's from Germany. He's one of the first players from Germany to get to the big leagues. He's been in the MLB for 2 years now, and he just got a 5-year extension for $35 million. So
and he's a workout
freak. He's a big specimen. Yeah,
he
is.
Yeah.
Well, he looks a little bit better than the statue of David.
Do you think that move from the Twins to the Mets has put a little chip on your shoulder at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a big chip on my shoulder out of the draft. A lot of people were telling me I'd be a first rounder, and unfortunately I wasn't, and dropped to the 4th, and that just lit me up. I got to see all of my buddies that got drafted in the first round, and I just painted targets on all their backs, and I was coming after all of them.
Good.
I wanted to beat them in the big leagues, and I just wanted to show them that I was better than all of them.
I think it's good to have a chip on your shoulder every now and then. By the way, in baseball, it's easy to forget about the chip. Don't forget about the chip, because all of a sudden, like you go into spring training with a chip on your shoulder, and then you find a little success, you're doing well. It's easy because every day you're grinding and grinding. Mm-hmm. You got to keep that chip. You got to keep that chip on your shoulder. And it doesn't matter if you're playing baseball, you listen in. Every now and then you got to find a little chip on your shoulder, because you get fired, you get traded, you get adversity. You got to find that. And I tell my kids all the time, like, hey, find a little chip on your shoulder and give you a little extra swag on that. So Gonzo, you've done an amazing job training this offseason. I know you're ready to rock and roll. BA, how about you, Brady? As far as your training preparation, what's one of the most favorite things that you enjoy?
Ooh, I think my favorite thing about like coming here and training is that we're all separated from each other like for 6 months out of the year, and whenever we come back here and start training, it's like no matter what happened in the year prior, or no matter what's going to happen, like we all have the same goal. And so it doesn't matter where you've been or what you've been through, but like every time we get to come in here and train, we get to try to push each other to the limit. And I think that's the coolest thing, because that's how you get better, is when you have the guys who you're basically competing with, but at the same time they're your brothers. Mm-hmm. You're out there, and each and every workout we're sitting there, and like he said about on the curve, we're doing everything we can to push each other to get a better number, because you want to see these guys that you train with, you want to see them succeed, and you want to see them be in the big leagues and have a lot of success. So I think that's probably my favorite part about training here, is because just the group we have. Like I said earlier, it's like a tight-knit group, but we're all very close, but we're all trying to get to the same spot, even though we might have different paths or have been through different things. When we come here, none of that really matters. We're just trying to get better.
What's your favorite exercise?
I like deadlifting a lot.
All right.
I don't know why. I like deadlifting, and then like kind of sometimes when we get on the curve, and it's just like you're trying to get that number, and it's tough, but it's all fun.
Mm-hmm. I think you do an awesome job with all your arm care stuff too. You really dial into all the small muscles and your arm care, and the attention to detail, I think, is something you probably take for granted. But I see the little things you do, all you guys, not only here but outside of here. Mm-hmm. When you're doing your throwing stuff, obviously arm care is a huge aspect. And as pitchers, I don't know what the percentage is as far as the number of pitchers that probably have elbow or shoulder issues, but it's a lot.
Like everyone.
Yeah. Right? So arm care plays an imperative role in your preparation, but you do an amazing job. Gonzo, I forgot to ask you, your favorite exercise?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a chef. I don't know if you know, but I like to flip some pancakes.
I like that. So those of you, when he says flip some pancakes, Stephen Gonsalves is a world record holder. Yes, you can check the Durkin Guinness Book of World Records. He'll take 25-pound plates and flip them like pancakes consecutively for 60 seconds. We'll have to put that on Instagram so
it's
people
been up
can see
before.
that.
I think it's been on your story before a few times.
We
You
gotta post it.
one.
We gotta post it because I don't know if there's anyone else in the world that can flip those 25-pounders like Gonzo can.
It's impressive.
It is impressive. Matter of fact, I'm going to post that.
Yeah.
You guys can do that and try it.
Yeah, you can
and
make a
post
challenge for
Gonzo.
that.
Exactly. It's the Gonzo Pancake Challenge. We're starting today. You hear me talk about get your mind right all the time. Talk about how you guys keep your mind right in season. Like how do you keep your mind right during the grind?
You want me to go?
Yeah,
or?
BA, you go. Brady?
Okay. Like during the season, I think it's a little bit more difficult just because a lot of the times you're traveling and you're not in like the best place and you're not getting the best rest, and you're not eating the best. So I think like
when you say traveling, you're traveling in private jets and eating a lot of like.
Oh, no.
Like, tell me this traveling thing, like catered food. Like, what when you say traveling?
So the traveling for us, let's say we play a home series. It's different for every team, but like say you play a home series and you have a game the next day. Depending on how long the trip is, sometimes the trips can be up to 8, 10, 12 hours on a bus, and so you leave after the game, drive through the night on the bus. Check in at the hotel in the morning, try to get the best sleep you can in on the bus or at the hotel before you have to be to the field, and then you have to be at the field around 2 or 1 or 2, depending on what you have to do that day, and then you have to play the game. So it's not the most luxurious way of.
Do you get your own seat?
No,
Okay.
if you're that, yeah, you have to share on the bus too.
Wow.
And so we're talking.
Bonus babies, sometimes they get their own seat.
Wow,
You never know.
bonus
No.
babies.
No, but usually if you're like the starting pitcher, they'll give you your own seat. But still, but it's
How
still
nice.
not like luxurious in any way. But I think the best way to like get your mind right or to like make sure you stay on top of your stuff is just to like stay focused, get a good routine, and make sure that routine is huge. Just to make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do each day, and like whether it be your mobility work or your stretching or your throwing, all that stuff, just to be able to go into the field and do that stuff every day. It's like the easiest way to stay on top of everything.
Gonzo, how about you, Steven?
Yeah, your rotation going into it. So I like to look at my hitters. Nowadays we got video on everyone. So I like to look at my video, 3 days, 4 days before.
Yep.
That way it's, fresh in my mind, and I have my bullpen on day 3. So I face, the hitters that I know are going to give me trouble. And then leading up to it, honestly, like the day of, I just like to clear my mind, just kind of relax a little bit, get my stretching in. I enjoy a hot tub, get in there a little bit.
No, good.
And,
So mental preparation on that routine. These are good. Hot tub, by the way, it's going to help you improve your flexibility. So you can do some stretching in the hot tub. The mental preparation, I think, is huge because when you get the mental preparation, it actually helps your confidence so that you can relax the day of, knowing that you're prepared to go into that game.
Exactly, and that's why I do it before my bullpen. That way I'm getting my mental reps. Like I'm throwing that hitter in there.
Yep.
I know his stance. I know his swing.
Yep.
I'm visually picturing him and trying to beat him with
And
every
what
pitch.
if you go to the mound that day and you just don't have it, but you're on the hill and you're like, man, I just don't have it today. How do you find it when you don't have it?
It's tough. A lot of guys have different, triggers. Mine, being a changeup dominant pitcher, I'll always go to my changeup. That kind of helps me find every other pitch just because I know it's always there. I mean, if it's not there, you're just gonna have to accept it. You accept that you don't have it.
Do you think you have to quote feel it every day to have your best outing? Like, do you have to say get on the hill like I feel great today to have your best outing, or have you noticed that sometimes your best outings are actually when you don't even feel that great?
My only
They're all laughing at me, by the way.
yeah. my only complete game where I went 9 innings, I think I bounced the ball about 20 times in warming up before the game and just beat my catcher up, and we're just like, all right, well, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And I ended up going a full game.
I was gonna say, I'll never forget. I had one of my starts in 2017. I ended up throwing a one-hitter in like 8 innings or something, and I was in the bullpen. I told my catcher, I said, dude, I don't even know if I'm going to make it out of the first. Like, I was in the bullpen, and I was like, I couldn't find the zone.
Yep.
I didn't feel good, and then somehow, like, got into the game and was just like.
So what
turned
shifted?
on.
What happened? What was it?
No idea. I think honestly, if you like limit your expectation, like maybe that's what it was, limiting expectations. And I went out there and I was like, okay, well,
Just gonna
I don't really have anything today, so I'm just gonna see what happens and go out there. And sure enough, it kind of worked out, I guess.
That's awesome, Brady. Daniel, how about
I was
yourself?
gonna say the same. My best career game, like, had 12 strikeouts in Double-A. My elbow was screaming. I was thrown in the bullpen in Akron, and man, I think same. I bounced probably like 10, 15, 20 pitches. I had a young Gary Sanchez behind there, and he's just looking at me, talking in Spanish, like, "Come on, Papi, let's go. Like, give me something to work with today." And I was like, man, and I just kind of went into the game and said, you know what, just flush that, and let's just get this first guy out, you know. And I remember the first pitch, I bounced it, and I was like, oh man, this is not gonna be good. Second pitch, I think I sailed it. And Gary's just looking at me like, come on. And one pitch got me locked in, and before I knew it, it was like one pitch after that, I got a little confidence, and before I knew it, all my pitches were there, they were working, and I was in the 8th inning giving up like 2 hits with 12 strikeouts.
Wow.
Would have never imagined.
Now, Daniel, you and Stephen both have had tastes in the big leagues. You getting called up last year to the New York Yankees. That's not just a call-up. That's the New York Yankees, right? The iconic New York Yankees. How much different is the bigs versus even double or triple A?
I would just say I had one day. It was the greatest day of my life. But I would say there's just so much going on when you get to the stadium. I remember getting there and I'm just looking around going like, wow, like there's a lot going on around here. So just the media attention, the amount of people at the game. I remember warming up or getting loose before the game, and we're talking like there's tons of fans there just to watch us play catch.
Right.
You know, and I'm sitting there, I'm signing autographs, and I mean, it was great. So I would just say just more people, more. We always talk about it like, hey, every level you go up in the minor leagues, there's just another tier.
Yep.
You know, another tier to the stadium. The lights get a little bit brighter.
Yep.
But we go through the same.
Stephen, how about you? Difference between with the Twins. Obviously, you've had a cup of coffee already with the Twins at the highest level. Biggest difference?
Just your mental approach. I mean, my first game, I think I blacked out in that first pitch. I just said if it's it's going to be down the middle or it's not, and it's going to be a good day or not. You know, you don't know.
Where was it?
It was right down the middle.
Right down the middle.
You don't know what's gonna, like, when you're out on that mound and there's 40,000 people in the stands. Like, I was shaking, my knees were trembling, and finally a guy got on first base, and I'm like, how is this umpire not calling a balk? Like, I'm not even focused on throwing it. I'm like waiting for him to call a balk and give a guy a free base. Like, I was shaking. You know, you're terrified, but it's just fun. You got to enjoy it.
Well, you know what? Congratulations for all you guys on your success, but I want to talk about something that I think every pro goes through, and I'm not just talking pro athlete, any professional in any career, any industry. It's how you overcome hard times, adversity. In your guys' life, you obviously have had to overcome adversity. If there's one thing you guys could share, what would be a hard time in your life that you had to overcome? Brady, I'll start with you. I hope you're enjoying this episode. As a matter of fact, before you hear the rest of the amazing story, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. Today's episode is sponsored by Theragun. Man, I'm not sure where I'd be without this recovery tool. I first used it on NBC Strong when we were all on set. I literally would be using the Theragun before and after every competition, and I fell in love with it. Essentially, Theragun is a percussive massage gun that can be used on every muscle of the body, all 622 muscles. It's going to help relieve stress. It's going to help loosen up before a training session, practice, or even a big competition. The Theragun is light. It's engineered to deliver 40 percussions per second, and it feels great. You can use it for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or however long you desire. At Fitness Quest 10, we have a full kit of Theragun so we can gun our clients after a session. Bottom line is this: if you're serious about your health and fitness, Theragun needs to be a staple tool in your arsenal. My athletes love it, my clients love it, I love it, and you're going to love it as well. Get one today at www.theragun.com.
I think I mean,
And it could be baseball related, by the way, too.
I would say mine's baseball related now, just because, like, growing up, I never really like had too much struggle. And then like playing sports, I was just always like bigger, and like when you're bigger, when you're a kid, like you're usually better than everyone else. And so like growing up, I played a bunch of different sports and was always successful. And then like these guys said, I mean, we all played Team USA. We all were All-Americans, and we all got drafted out of high school. So we all had like a lot of success early on in our career. And then for me, the toughest time was after my injury. I felt really good, felt confident. And then coming into the next year, I just had a lot of failure. In the whole 2017 season, I just somehow found a way to get through the season, didn't get hurt, but just didn't really have much success. And then after that, I didn't even really play in 2018, or even I played a little bit last year, but 2018 I didn't play at all. And like that was tough for me because, like I said, I had always been successful, and to actually have to deal with failure and to, at that time, not really know like what was going on. I was doing everything I could to try to figure out how to get back to being myself, or how to figure out like how to become successful again. And for me, it was just hard because dealing with that and trying to figure it out during the season, and then kind of the pressure of like everyone, hey, what's going on? Like, what do you like? What's going on with you? And like, I didn't even know at that time. Like, everyone asked me, like, even my parents were like, hey, like, how are you doing? And I was like, good. Like, I don't know. Like, I've just always been one to like, no matter what, like Daniel was saying, like, just work. Like, no matter what, good or bad, I'm just going to put my head down. I'm just going to like go.
Right.
And for like me to do all that and not have success was really interesting, just because I got to a point where like I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I'm doing everything in my power to become successful, and I'm doing everything I can to
dealing with
be
failure.
really good. Yeah. And I wasn't. And so that was like the hardest part for me, I guess, in like 2018 and kind of basically all of 2018.
So how does that impact you like today as you prepare for this upcoming season? Has it made you better? Has it made you hungrier? Do you go in scared? Like what has that done for you now as a person?
I think, well, as a person, I think it's made me realize that good times or bad times, whatever, like I've always had faith that I will succeed, and I've always had a very good support cast like behind me, whether it's my family, like these guys, you, my close friends. Like I've always had like a good support system around me. And so I think going into this year, it's like no matter what happens, like I'm still like I'm fine knowing that I've put in so much work. Like I've done everything I can to succeed. And if it doesn't work out, then like I'm okay with that. It would be different if I knew that I didn't put in the work, or
That's right.
Something like that. But like I've done everything I can to be in a position to succeed, and I'm confident in the fact that I will. So if something doesn't happen, then that's just the way it works out. But I've done everything I can to be successful, and I know it'll be good enough.
Wouldn't you say your faith has grown quite a bit too?
Absolutely. I would say it's like obviously we all went to Cathedral Catholic, and so like I was very, very like in tune with all that stuff in high school, and then kind of lost it a little bit. But I would say over the last year, I've really gotten back into like being faithful and believing and like trusting in myself and trusting in God and communicating with him as much as I can. And I think that's helped a lot.
Realizing that that's enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's awesome, Brady. Awesome. Stephen, how about you? Adversity, biggest, toughest thing you've had to face in baseball or in life?
Yeah, life's been pretty good to me so far. I had one loss in my life, my grandfather. You remember that day?
Sure.
You know, you saw me crying on the floor here. That was a tough year. My grandfather was my biggest fan. You know, he wasn't around much for my dad. He was a commercial fisherman his whole life. And, you know, he really, you know, took the time to do everything he could for me. And he was by far my best friend. It was a tough year. He would always count. He's like, you know, when are you going to get to the big leagues? I'm like, well, I don't know. You just can sit there, count, you know, like maybe 4 or 5 years. And you go, that's not quick enough. Like, I'm not going to be there. I'm like, obviously you're going to be there. But, sure enough, he ended up passing away before I made it. And, he motivated me. And I was pitcher of the year that year, after he passed. And then got to the big leagues the next year. And, definitely felt him there. My grandmother flew out that day. And it was a good time. So
you
that,
have quite a big family, by the way, too.
Very big family, big Portuguese family. You got, I think, at the wedding we had about 105 all, right there. It was
just the family.
Just cousins.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone. So it's sometimes a nightmare, but it's awesome.
It is awesome.
And then last year was my first year of injury. Like I said, it was a big wake up call. And it was more of a bone fracture, and that was tough because I couldn't have surgery on it, but I also couldn't do anything, and they just told me to sit and wait, and those were the longest 10 weeks of my life. I'd show up to the field, and they'd have nothing for me. And while all my guys are getting called up last year, the Twins called up 37 different pitchers. And they told me I was going to be the next guy.
Literally 37.
37 different arms. And right before I got hurt, they said, be ready. We're only going up with 4 starting pitchers. You'll be the 5th, because we have so many snow days. They had 12 days off in the first month, so they're only keeping 4 starting pitchers. And, just be ready. We'll need you in a week or 2. And I got hurt 3 days after that talk I had. And so it was a tough pill to swallow, just 10 weeks of doing literally nothing. I couldn't lift weights. Every time I tried to run, I'd feel it in my elbow running. Like nothing you'd think of. So that was very tough, but it made me hungry. Yep. And it's motivated me this year. Doing a lot of more physical therapy, massages, taking the time to do more mobility work instead of just, trying to bench and, max out every muscle. It's all about taking care of your body.
Mm-hmm. If your grandfather could say something to you as you approach the 2020 season, what do you think he would tell you going into this season?
Say, burn them.
Burn them.
Burn them. That's all he yelled from me at the stands. Burn them. Wants the heater up high. He'd yell that at every game, every time I was on the mound. Just burn them. Yeah.
Is that going to be your mantra for the year?
Absolutely.
You should.
Oh, yeah.
Burn them.
Burn them.
I like that too. That's awesome. Daniel, how about yourself? Obviously, you've had to overcome some tough things in the last couple of years too, but if there's one thing that you'd like to share today about some adversity that you overcame, what is that?
Yeah, I'd have to say last year, we're coming up. My dad's birthday is actually tomorrow, and he passed away. We're talking 10, it's about to be 11 months, 11 months ago. So that by far was the hardest time or thing I've ever had to deal with. I thought my dad would always be there for me, whether it was a phone call or just being there. And to not have that, last year was extremely tough. And I know it was hard for me and my family. I can't thank you enough for helping me get through that. It was just, I don't know. It's still kind of weird, with the holidays and everything. It's been weird. But we've stuck together as a family, and we're just, trying to keep moving.
Yeah. So, folks, Daniel lost his father less than a year ago, and it was just a few days shy of spring training. And put yourself in the shoes of these young men who are preparing to live their dream and play at the highest level. And Daniel gets a call that his father had a massive heart attack, and I remember, how are you supposed to prepare for anything, right? How do you go to work and that? And here he is, he's trying to live his dream, and his father doesn't make it. And Daniel, I know leaving last season, isn't it ironic that it was the year that you get pulled up to the majors and get your first crack at playing at the highest level with the New York Yankees. What do you think your dad would say to you a year later, almost a year later now?
I mean, I just hope he'd say he's proud. I remember that last day, that last little talk I had with him at the hospital, and obviously he couldn't talk back, but I just told him I was like, I'm gonna go get it this year. Like, I'm gonna go do it. And when I got that phone call, like, man, it was the greatest feeling, greatest accomplishment, obviously, for my whole life. But knowing that I made that promise to my dad, before he passed away, like, that feeling, I can't even explain it, you know. But it was just like I said I was gonna do something. I wanted to honor him that whole season. And
how old was your dad?
He was 69.
Mm-hmm.
He was 69, and it was tough. We lost my grandma. We lost his mom a month before that.
Mm-hmm.
So our family was just, we were grinding through that time. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
You go from, I started the season with the Twins. I ended up getting released. I'm sitting there at home just going like, man, like, God, what am I going to do? And I get a phone call from, I'm throwing a bullpen actually at Cathedral, and I get a phone call from our agent, and he's like, hey, you got an opportunity with New York again. They need a guy in AAA right now. And I ended up parlaying that 2 months later into getting called up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
So, and I remember like, I never wanted, like, I just said, hey, I want to make it to the big leagues. I didn't say I want to make it to New York, and New York was my dad's favorite team growing up. He was a big Mickey Mantle fan. So when that all happened, it was just very surreal. My family, like, we're still kind of shook by it. Like, wow, it happened, because same thing. I've been working my tail off doing the things right. And, it's just kind of with baseball, when you get that opportunity, you just got to make the most of it and run with it. And that was my opportunity. I saw it as like, wow, this could be it.
Wow. Folks, as you're listening today, I think what happens, and the reason why I want to have them come on the podcast today is, when you're watching sports, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, a lot of times you have your favorite athletes. You have the guys or the gals that you follow, but you don't realize the stories behind them and what they battle and what they go through. Sometimes you think they're machines or robots, but you realize they're like you. They've had to overcome adversity. You don't know what's motivating them. And, whether it be the loss of a parent, a grandparent, injury, a setback, all of these things are part of their lives that they have to dig down deep on. And I ask you guys this question. Daniel, I'm going to start with you. Do you think baseball defines you?
Ooh, do I think baseball defines me? No, I think it's just what I do. I think I watched a lot of like Kobe Bryant stuff. How he created the Black Mamba, and was able to separate Kobe Bryant and the Black Mamba. And I try and do the same thing when it comes to baseball. When baseball, it's like I'm Cam. I'm Camarena. It's what I do.
Yeah.
But when I come off the field, I'm Daniel. And I just try and be a positive, a good example. I try to be a good example to these two guys, and I think the coolest thing was to see me go getting drafted in the 20th round, and then you watch Gonzo get drafted in the 4th round, and then you see Brady, like, you can't top that, like,
right.
1-1, and for me, that was, like, the neatest thing ever to see, like, man, I just really try to set a good example, and I just try and separate the two. So.
Stephen, how about you? As far as baseball, do you think it defined you as a person?
Definitely not. I definitely believe that God put me here to play baseball. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing I know how to do. If I think about a career after baseball, I'd have blank. I'm like, my career will be doing fishing because I can afford a boat from baseball. Like, baseball is what I do, like he said, and, we have these dreams of being great and, just being the best of who you can be, but no, I'm Stephen. I'm a good Christian, and I'm here to spread the word.
I think baseball or any sports, I talk about this with all of our athletes, is sometimes it gives you the platform that you can use, the gifts that you've been blessed with to bless other people, right? And if you can use those gifts, whether it be through baseball or, by the way, there will be life after baseball, and you guys know that. There will be life after baseball, and God's got a plan, and you don't know if you're going to be playing baseball for another year or 10 years, whatever it may be, that baseball is a part of your life now, and it will always be a part of your life and history. But like I found out years ago that football up until age 25 was part of my life, I didn't realize the best wasn't even going to yet to come. And you guys don't know what's yet to come, and it might be a lot more baseball, and I hope it is, but in some way, God's got a master plan that is going to help you continue to impact a lot of people. So, Brady, how about yourself? Does baseball define you as a person?
No, absolutely not. And I think I was caught up in the fact that it kind of did. And I think that's part of the reason why I started to struggle is I started to take away some of the failures I was having at the field. I was starting to take it like home with me. And I think that was part of the reason I was struggling, not only as a baseball player, but as a person. And then once I started to realize that, like these guys were saying, like you basically you have two lives. Like you have to have a life where you can come home and you can talk with family and you can talk with friends and have it not be related to baseball. And then once you get to the field, you know what you have to do, and that's the time to get your work in, do the baseball stuff, be that person. And then, like I said, like when you go home, you have to learn how to not take the stuff, with good or bad, take it with you home, because that's when you start to really kind of have relationships be affected, whether it's your family, friends, girlfriends, wives, stuff like that. Like you can take some of the stuff like you're having at the field, and if you take it home, it's not really beneficial in any way.
Fantastic. All right, 2 final questions, rapid fire. Stephen, I'm starting with you. If you could share some wisdom with a young athlete today, and he or she wants to play pro sports or wants to play in college, what wisdom, one piece of wisdom would you give them?
Play other sports.
Ooh.
I think that's what made me so agile as a pitcher. I played basketball, a little bit of football, not tag football in high school, but played some flag football and stuff. But basketball, baseball, I played everything. I played soccer growing up. I think that makes you a better athlete in general.
Okay. And if you and I were playing rebounder, who would win?
Me.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, just quick answers.
Brady, how about you? What's one piece of wisdom you would share with a young athlete today that has aspirations to, like, hey, I want to be the next Brady Aiken, or I want to go to college on a scholarship? What would you say?
I would say just have fun with it. I think that's what I lost. When I was at my best, I was having fun, and then I stopped having fun with it and was kind of failing.
How do you have fun?
You just got to be light with it. Like when you're in between the lines and as like a starting pitcher, like we all are, like when you have to be serious and when you have to lock in, but like there's time like where you need to lighten up, because if you're serious all the time and you're just banging your head against the wall and trying to like be the best and like not really have fun with it, you're going to kind of like lose track of who you are as a person. And like we've all said, when we were in high school and we were all successful doing the USA, doing all American stuff, we were all having fun. Like it wasn't ever really about like I wanted to be the highest draft pick. I wanted to do this. It was always just like, at least for me, I don't know about these guys, but like when we were in high school, I never thought about any of that. It was always, whenever I would step on the baseball field, it was like fun, and then I would work, and then I was going home, and it was like fun. Like everything I was doing was fun.
I think one way people could have more fun with sport, exercise, fitness, is career, is not always worry about what everyone else thinks about your expectations.
Yeah, that's big too.
Because as soon as you worry about what mom and dad are, the expectations on them, you're always trying to please everybody else. And you realize you can't please everybody else, and by doing that, you can't even please yourself.
Exactly.
And I find that a common denominator amongst kids today is like, listen, you got to grind, you got to get in the gym, you got to work out, you got to do things when no one's watching, and you got to know inside of yourself that you're doing the best you can. But if you're always playing to please someone else, you're not going to have fun, because it's doing it for someone else versus doing it for yourself. So I think that's a great point, Brady, on that. Daniel, how about yourself?
I would say to the young kids out there, just do the little things right. Take time to do the little detailed things right. I try and coach a lot of kids right now, and they're like, I want to do this, this, and this, and I'm like, well, can you hit my chest 10 times in a row right now? So I would say just work on the small little details. Whether it's basketball, make sure you hit your free throws. Football for quarterbacks, hit all your throws, the small throws. Pitchers, throw strike one. Focus on those little things first. Don't get too far ahead. So
I think
doing the right thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think a lot of that too starts with like creating habits off the field. Like you go from, like my dad always told me when I was a kid, he was like, every morning you wake up, make your bed. And it's like you take little things like that, like you make your bed. Just make sure like the little chores that you do, that like you create habits, and then it's easier to fall into like now where I'm at, where it's like, okay, I have to do like my shoulder stuff and my throwing. I have to do all that like every day, and it's like that's the habits. That and it starts from when you're a kid to the littlest things, is making your bed in the morning.
So it's great wisdom, guys, is pick one habit that you could improve today, this week, whether it be nutrition, exercise, training, mindset, who you need to eliminate, iron sharpens iron, who you need to surround yourself with and hang out with. All of these things are habits that will help you be your absolute best self. And whether you're a professional pitcher, whether you're in another sport, whether you're a student that has to make the right choices on whether you're going to study or go out and go to the party, if you should go to the professional development conference and go to that live event that is going to, you got to invest in yourself to do that. Like, it's about making the habit, as Brady talks about. Last question. Like, if there's one final piece of wisdom that you could give someone who's going to be watching you in the stands this season, and they're like, "Hey, that's Brady Aiken. I heard him on the podcast." What would be one piece of wisdom that you would want people to know about you but don't?
Oof.
And I'll ask all three of you, Stephen and Daniel, and any of you can go first. Brady,
I think as athletes, I think we have a platform, like you talked about, to be able to like help people. And I think there's so many people that would love to be in our shoes, or certain kids that may not have the opportunity to be in our shoes. And I think for us to be able to help in any way we can, I know we've all done some stuff with Rady Children's Hospital. I think that's something that like I value a lot, is being able to help kids in any way that I can. And for me, any way I can help, I think that's important for me.
Give back. That's great. Love it. Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Just give back. Be the good Christian that, we're asked to be. Make disciples of, who you are, and, just lead by example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Daniel, what's one thing you'd want people to know about you but don't?
Ooh, I'd say if we're competing, like, I'm going to try and kick your butt.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and kick your butt so bad that you're not going to want to play anymore.
Really?
And
even a rebounder?
Oh, yeah. If
Really?
we're straight competing, like, it's on. It's on, and I'm probably not going to give up. I think that's probably, like, my bad. Like, the thing I need to work on is knowing when to quit, Like, even, like, sometimes I'm like, all right, this is rep number 200 something. Like, I should probably stop now, but so-and-so's over there working. Like, nah, you ain't outworking me. Like, I just want them to know, like, I'm good luck outworking me, and if we're competing, like, let's get it.
Wow, that is awesome. I love it. Guys, if they could, if you can follow these three young men in their journey over the next several years and what they're doing, where's the best place that all of our listeners today could follow you? Is it on Instagram? Is it just through the news? How are they best follow you? Is there any place that they could best follow you besides Brady Aiken, Stephen Gonsalves, and Daniel Camarena? Where they follow you?
I don't use social media very often. Like, I go on it and look, but I don't post a lot. But I mean, I guess if that's what you're trying to, like, get in touch with me, it'd probably be Instagram or Twitter or something like that, even though I don't post much.
Yeah. Or just follow ESPN.com and you'll see Brady Aiken getting after it this season.
True.
Steven?
Yeah, definitely Twitter. I'm going to try to be better about that.
What's your Twitter handle?
The S Gonsalves.
Okay.
I want to be more like Kyle Gibson, pitcher with the Twins. He's now with Texas. He's one of the guys that he'll tweet a daily Bible verse. He'll share all of his fundraisers that he does, and just try and make the community a better place.
Cool. Daniel?
I'm not I don't have no social media, so I'd say if you want to come, got to come to the gym here.
Yeah.
Go to the gym or
go to
the park and give it a little mind right.
Go to the park, shout at me at the field. Like, I'll do my best to turn around and say hello and talk.
Tip the cat.
But yeah, or come here to Fitness Quest.
That's awesome.
Let's work out.
That's awesome. Well, guys, what an incredible episode. I hope you enjoyed that with Brady, Stephen, and Daniel. We talk about baseball dreams. It really transcends on any career, any industry. And whether you're right now finishing your workout or you're traveling right now, I want you to take the wisdom that was shared from these three young men today and join me in wishing all three of them the best of luck this season. Fellas, get after it, do your thing, and know that not only will I be cheering you on, but we've got thousands of other people listening in today that are going to be cheering you on as well.
Thank you.
Get after it, fellas. Love you guys, man. Love it. Yoo-hoo! Yeah! Hey, I'm so glad that you have not stopped listening yet, because the show ain't over, baby. Hey, I hope you really enjoyed that conversation with Stephen Gonsalves, Brady Aiken, and Camarena today. Three great young men who have been working their tails off. Let me tell you, since this fall, since October, they have been busting their tail to get to their best level of this spring training coming up here in just a matter of weeks. Hey, can you do me a favor? Just like they're working their tail off, I need your help. I need you to come out of the bullpen, and I need you to throw some strikes for me. Can you please give us a great 5-star rating? We need a 5-star rating and for you to write a review, because as 2020 is here, we need to continue to climb the ranks like they're climbing the walls, baby. Give us a 5-star rating and write a great raving review on what the Todd Durkin Impact Show means to you. If you do that, you'll really help us throw a winning ball game as well. And one more thing. Could you please share today's episode on your social media, in your newsletters, via an email with your friends, family, and colleagues? If you could do that, you would really help us get to the all-star level as well. Have an incredible day, and don't forget, continue to train hard, eat right, live inspired, and create impact. Have a great day, everyone, and hey, I'll see you at the ballpark.